an article in commondreams.org, is addressing the fact that what Trump has just done of saying that they're going to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Basically, the article that came out Thursday, December 7th, both parties pushed Trump towards reckless action on Jerusalem. Recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital further threatens Israeli-Palestinian peace, breaks international law, and risks a violent and destabilizing reaction in the region, which may be exactly the plan. And this is by Stephen Zunes. So a little background on Stephen Zunes. He's a professor of politics and international studies at the University of San Francisco, where he serves as coordinator of the program in Middle Eastern Studies. Recognized one of the country's leading scholars on U.S. Middle East policy and strategic nonviolent action. Oh, nonviolent. Ooh, that can't work. Stephen, the war machine needs to keep going, buddy. Nonviolent. Ugh, boy. Boo. Which is exactly what's going on here. So here's what's interesting is so Trump on Wednesday announced that the United States will formally recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and that the U.S. Embassy would be moved to that multi-ethnic and multi-faith city. No other government in the world formally recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. All other countries put their diplomatic offices in Tel Aviv. So what this is going to do is increase Israeli-Palestinian tension, and it will probably increase violence, which will increase destabilisation in the region, which is the purpose of this. So what this does, Muslims will surely probably, some Muslims in the Muslim world will retaliate with protests that could get violent. And even if they start out as nonviolent, they will be stoked to be violent. Even if there's just a hair of violence, there will be cameras there saying, oh, Muslims are violent. And this justifies Trump's decision because his whole rhetoric has been from day one, Muslims are violent, we need a Muslim ban, we need a travel ban. And this is more of his tactic. What is the root of this? Take a guess, kids. Oil, petrodollar. So that's what is going on. But let's look at the history of this, right? Let's go back to this now. This has been going on for a while, wanting to make Jerusalem the capital, or at least move the U.S. Embassy there. The fulfillment of the Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1995, which mandates that the United States move its embassy to Jerusalem, though the bill allows a president to waive that requirement every 6 months if deemed in the national interest. In the Senate, the bill was co-sponsored by such prominent Senate Democrats as Joe Biden, John Kerry, and only one Democrat, the late Robert Byrd, voted no. On the House side, just 30 out of 204 Democrats voted no, along with the independent then Congressman Bernie Sanders. Since then, every president has taken advantage of the waiver to prevent such a provocative move, despite continued bipartisan pressure from Congress. As recently as this past June, just days after Trump issued his first waiver of the requirement, the Senate voted 90-0 in favor of a resolution reaffirming the 1995 law and calling on President Trump to abide by its provisions. Co-sponsors on the Democratic side, our good old Democratic friends, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, we had Chuck Schumer and Ben Cardin. Chuck Schumer, boy, he makes a lot of money, Chuck Schumer. The highest paid, he's gotten the most money from Goldman Sachs, I believe, as well as Tammy Baldwin, Kristen Gillibrand, Cory Booker, and Ron Wyden. Schumer has openly encouraged Trump to move the embassy, as previously criticized his indecisiveness on the issue. Support by congressional Democrats and party leaders for moving the embassy is not due to demand from their constituents. A recent poll shows 81% of Democrats oppose moving the embassy, while only 15% approve. And then, what do the Democrats do? And why would they do that if 85% of their constituents? Well, this is to keep the country, the region destabilized. This is to justify more military action, because if Muslims are violent over there, oh, but then we got to send more military, we got to do more drone strikes, which means destabilize governments. See, here's the thing. If like Iran and all these other countries were stable democracies, which many of them have tried to become, and we destabilize them, then they might go, we don't need the petrodollar. We're going to get off the petrodollar. We're going to make our own money. It's our oil on our land. It's not ExxonMobil's or the America's oil. It's ours, and we can run our country the way we want to do so. And so we destabilize them. And we stir up any sort of rival factions between the Shias, the Sunnis, and the Kurds, right? Or whatever group we can, like ISIS is the big enemy and they're crazy and awful, but we use them when we need to, like in Syria. So then that's why Democrats with 81% of their constituents saying no, this will stir up more trouble moving it from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. They don't care. They don't care. For decades, the platforms of both Republican and Democratic parties have called for recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, but failed to acknowledge that Jerusalem is the commercial, cultural, educational, and religious center for Palestinian life. In 2012, then Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa violated party rules by inserting an amendment into the Democratic Party platform recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital without the requisite 2/3 majority. In the 2016 platform, nominee Hillary Clinton, an advocate of moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, successfully pushed for language declaring that Jerusalem should remain the capital of Israel, while again saying nothing of Palestinian concerns. There's prominent Israelis realizing how poorly Palestinians have been treated. Israel won't even recognize the Armenian genocide, man. Netanyahu is just another warmonger. And America will gladly go in and and this is more reckless Trumpery. But it's the deep state. He's doing the deep state's bidding. That's why Trump's not going to get knocked out of there. Noam Chomsky said at the beginning of the year before Trump was sworn in, he said, if he doesn't go along with the deep state stuff, some of the stuff he said on his campaign trail, but why are we backing the Saudis? Why are we bombing everybody? All these things he said that he has not held up on the camp, since the campaign, since being sworn in. Had he stuck to those, then the deep state would have got him out of there. They would have had him impeached. But he's playing ball, so he's there to stay. And the only reason they might get him out is because if too many people are resisting, they'll get Mike Pence in there, and the left will fall asleep with Mike Pence in there. I guarantee they'll fall asleep. Large portions of the left will fall the fuck asleep if Mike Pence gets in there. So, this just shows that, once again, more evidence the Democratic Party is not any sort of opposition to Trump party. It shows you the long game of the corporate state, right? The long game of the military-industrial complex and oil and all of that stuff that's all tied together. This is how they're doing it. Keep the region destabilized. And this is more steps in that direction. You know, it's probably, yeah. And most Americans are like, oh, so what if they move the capital? What's the big deal? That's why it's covered in commondreams.org. And then I got to talk about it on this show where I've got a Batman blue light in my apartment, because I don't think they're talking about this on the mainstream media, but they're just saying it just like, oh, it's just sort of like a formality or something. Just like, oh, they moved their headquarters, like some company just moved their headquarters from Dallas to Phoenix. Oh, like that's how their mainstream media is reporting it. Not the implications and not showing how both parties are part of this. If there's more evidence that there's one party. Oh boy, oh boy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for wanting to get your information another way. You know, if you cut your cable, the money you save from watching the bullshit, vote with your dollars. Don't give cable. I cut my cable years ago. Don't give them your money. You know? And thank you for supporting this show. Don't forget, December 17th, the FNX Custer's Last Stand-Up Native American Stand-Up Comedy at the San Bernardino Community College. All the tour dates and info are at grahamelwood.com in the show notes below. Come out to that show. You're supporting a brand new show and live comedy. And it's my first ever TV directing gig, so it's a cool thing to come out and support. I hope you can make it out.